Ever had that moment where a few simple words just hit you and you're left wondering how they could possibly pack such a punch? Well, today, we're going to unravel that very mystery using the incredible lens of Indian poetics.
I mean, really think about it. You hear a line in a song or read a verse in a poem and bam, goosebumps. Your heart might ache or it might just soar. But how? How can a few syllables arranged in a certain order have such a powerful, almost physical effect on us? That's the exact question we're going to answer.
So here's our game plan. First, we'll look at the raw building blocks. Then, we'll get into the secret recipe for emotion. After that, we'll explore the magic of what's not said. Look at the tools poets use to create that magic, and finally, we'll see how it all fits together perfectly.
Okay, let's dive in. Our journey starts with a really core idea. We tend to think poetry is all about language, right? But Indian poetics says, nope, let's go deeper, back to something way more fundamental.
Think about it. We're not born knowing a language. We're born making sounds, crying, laughing. That's totally innate. Language is the system we learn on top of that. Same goes for perception. We're born able to see and hear things, but interpreting what they mean, that's something we acquire. And art, well, art lives in that incredible space right between the two. It takes our raw, innate ability to perceive sounds and sights and elevates it through the learned craft of language.
So, if art is this act of transformation, what's its end game? It's all about taking a raw, messy, personal feeling and turning it into a shared, universal, almost delicious experience.
And that brings us to this key concept, rasa. It literally means juice or essence, and the best way to think of it is like an emotional recipe. You know, when you're sad in real life, it's just raw pain. It's personal. But when a movie or a poem makes you feel that deep, poignant sadness, it's different, isn't it? It's been refined, universalized, so that anyone can connect with it. That refined feeling, that aesthetic flavor, that's rasa.
An ancient sage named Bharata Muni actually wrote down the recipe. He said to create this experience, you need specific ingredients. You need the cause, the characters, the setting. You need the outward expression, the tears, the angry words. And you need all those little fleeting feelings that add texture, like a flicker of doubt or a wave of anxiety. When an artist mixes these ingredients just right, what you get isn't just a character's feeling. It's a universal rasa for the entire audience to savor.
What's really fascinating is how the thinking about this evolved. People started asking, okay, but where does this rasa actually exist? At first, some thought it was being produced by the actor on stage. Then the idea changed. Maybe the audience is just inferring it, like a detective figuring out a clue. But the real game changer came from thinkers like Abhinavagupta. He said, you're all looking in the wrong place. Rasa isn't on the stage. It's revealed within you, the audience member. The art is just the trigger. The experience happens inside your own consciousness.
Okay, so the goal of art is to spark this internal experience of rasa. But how? This is where it gets really cool. The answer isn't in what the words say, it's in what they don't say. It's in the echoes they leave behind.
Way back in the 9th century, a brilliant theorist named Anandavardhana dropped this bombshell of an idea. He said, the true soul of poetry, its very essence, is something called Dhvani. You can translate it as resonance or echo or suggestion. It's all the meaning that hangs in the air long after you've heard the actual words.
So to get this, just think about language having 3 layers of power. Layer 1 is the literal, dictionary meaning. Simple. Layer 2 is the contextual or figurative meaning, like when you say Hollywood to mean the entire film industry. But layer 3, that's the magic layer. That's the suggested meaning, all the undertones, the feelings, the ideas that aren't spelled out but are powerfully there. That is Dhvani.
And here's the kicker. Not all suggestion is the same. You can suggest a simple fact or a clever metaphor. But the highest form, the absolute peak, is what's called Rasa Dhvani, suggestion that directly sparks that universal emotional state we talked about. This is where it all connects. The method of suggestion is aimed squarely at the experience of rasa.
So we have our goal, rasa, and our method, Dhvani. But how do artists actually put that suggestion, that resonance, into their work? This brings us to the final piece of the puzzle, the artist's toolkit. This toolkit has a name, Vakrokti.
It literally means bent or oblique expression. It's the art of purposefully turning away from plain, boring, straightforward speech. It's the creative twist, the unexpected metaphor, the clever turn of phrase. It's everything an artist does to make language beautiful, memorable, and just bursting with suggestive power. A theorist named Kuntaka was the great champion of this idea. He argued that a poet isn't just some scribe copying down reality. The poet is a prajapati, a creator. They build entirely new worlds out of language. And how do they do it? By masterfully bending and shaping it with the craft of Vakrokti.
And Kuntaka showed that this bending of language isn't just random, it's a systematic craft. It can happen on the tiniest level, with just the sounds of the words. It can be in a single creative word or an unusual phrase. It can be in the structure of a whole sentence, making it ironic or paradoxical. It can even be in the entire structure of the work. Think of a play like Samuel Beckett's Endgame, where the whole thing is a deviation from a normal story. The craft works from the micro all the way up to the macro.
All right, let's tie this all together. Because the really beautiful thing is how these three big ideas, Rasa, Dhvani, and Vakrokti, fit together perfectly to explain how a simple verse can hold a universe of feeling.
First, you've got the goal, the why of it all. Art is aiming to create rasa, that refined, universal emotion that becomes a shared experience for all of us. Okay, but how do we get there? The method, the vehicle, is Dhvani. It's the unspoken power, the resonance in the words that acts like a key to unlock that emotional experience deep inside us.
And finally, how does the artist build that vehicle? With the tools of Vakrokti. This is the actual, hands-on craft of artfully bending and shaping language to infuse it with the suggestion it needs to do its job. So when you see it all laid out, it's this amazing chain reaction. The artist's craft creates suggestion, and that suggestion triggers a profound shared feeling. The tool, Vakrokti, powers the method, Dhvani, to achieve the goal, Rasa. It's the complete journey, from a simple sound to a crafted word, all the way to a universe of emotion.
So, the next time you get those goosebumps from a line in a poem, you'll know exactly what's happening. It's not just the words you're reading, it's the craft that shaped them, the suggestion they carry, and the universal feeling they awaken in you. Which leaves us with a final thought. Now that you know what to listen for, what new echoes will you hear in the silence of your next favorite poem?